What's up, guys? Welcome to G Whiskey. My name is Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around to the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. If that sounds interesting, hit subscribe down below. And with that out of the way, let's jump into our review. Today we're looking at the Clynelish 14. Stick around. Alright, so we're doing a re-review today. This is the second time I've checked out this bottle. The last time I checked it out was just over a year ago, so not too long. And back then I scored it an 84. And 84 by no means is a bad score. In fact, it's quite decent, but it's not a love. It didn't have me swooning. And that alone was enough to rub some people the wrong way. And I know that for a lot of people out there, this really is Diageo at their finest. Now, Diageo does have bigger brands than this. We've got stuff like Lagavulin, we've got stuff like Talisker, but for an unpeated, for a non-peated single malt, this seems to be the one that most enthusiasts really flock to. And there's a reason for that. First and foremost, the fact that it's a proper ABV. It comes in at 46%, which is pretty rare and pretty special for a standard Diageo product, which is unfortunate, but it's true. But beyond just the ABV, this one's also really well known for its very floral, very waxy character. This and other whiskeys like Oban, for example, are considered some of the more characterful, interesting whiskeys in Diageo's unpeated portfolio. Now, as many of you know, I've been on a huge Oban kick lately. I bought up a bunch of bottles, I did some reviews. I really enjoy the Oban character. And of course, you know, Oban's always been around, it's always been there, and I've always enjoyed it. But I kind of rediscovered them again, as I said. I fell in love all over again. And I guess I picked up a bottle of our Clynelish here just to see if that would happen again. And you know, I have actually had my fair share of Clynelish. Between my friends and I, we've probably gone through 5 or 6 bottles over the years. You know, it's something we'll come back to every so often. Check in on it again. I always do enjoy it. I always think it's solid stuff. Also very consistent historically. But I never got that magic that so many people seem to find in this. I always appreciated the floral waxy character. It's the whiskey's claim to fame. I think it's lovely, but it never really popped for me. It never had that wow factor that I was looking for, but I don't know. The fact that I rediscovered Oban recently, the fact that I'm exploring a lot more whiskey these days as a result of the channel, the fact that I have a bunch of whiskey friends that are far more experienced than I am who absolutely swear by this stuff, and the fact that so many of you have told me that there's something really special happening here. So I had to try it again. So let's do that. Let's jump into the review, see what the whiskey's all about. And in the meantime, if you could kindly leave a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. Alright, so as I mentioned earlier, this one comes in at 46% ABV, which is great news. Love to see that. Now, is it a chill filtered whiskey? Some people say yes, some people say no, some people say it's only lightly filtered. I'm going to say probably. It's probably lightly filtered at the bare minimum. I'm going to throw an X up there. If you know any different, if you know any better, let me know down below in the comments. And finally, this is a colored whiskey. Now, the big one up there, the big one for me at least, is going to be that ABV. I'm really happy to have a standard Diageo product come out at 46%. So thank you, Diageo. Wait. Thank you, Diageo? For 1 out of 3. No, you know what? That's rescinded. So we have our fake tan color there. As for the label itself, you know, I didn't much care for it last year, but I think I'm kind of warming up to it this year. I like the simple, traditional, straightforward look we've got here. I think last year I scored it 2.5 out of 5 for presentation. This year I'm going to bump it up to 3.5 out of 5 for presentation. Why did I change my mind? I don't know. I'm a fickle bitch. Who cares? It's a label. We don't have any info here. We never get info. They are legally required in some markets to say that there's caramel colorant in here, so we do have that. Our cat on the front is some duke's coat of arms or his clan's coat of arms, something like that, the guy who set up the distillery. And it says that our whiskey has gone through a rocky gorge and tumbled over several waterfalls before being piped to the distillery. And that's important. Why, you may ask? Well, everyone knows waterfall whiskey is best whiskey. I did not add water. Let's try our nose. That's nice. Okay. So I'm getting florals, I'm getting vanillas. There's honeys and caramels in here. Definitely some apricots, some orange hard candy. some gentle baking spices here, a little bit of honeysuckle. And here's a fun one. I think I read this on some online review or online comment. Juicy fruit gum. The moment I read that, it got stuck in my head. I can't get it out. We definitely have juicy fruit gum in here. There's a really nice, subtle complexity to this nose. And now our palate. This is definitely oilier than I expected. We have an initial hit of spice, leads into some gentle oakiness. I know this is very, very lightly peated. We don't actually taste any peat in here. But what we do have is a suggestion of smoke. It's subtle, but it's really nice. We also have the expected florals in here. Ginger, caramel, honey, that's all there, honeysuckle. We have peppercorn. We have leather. We have some orange hard candy in here. We have barley sugar. There's a lot going on in this. And now our palate. All right. So once again, we have that faint suggestion of smoke. Smoke and vanilla. Ginger. Leather. More orange hard candy. We have star fruit, we have barley sugar, and again, more juicy fruit gum. Our finish is sweet, it's zesty, medium in length. Okay, so this is a really interesting one to come back to. Clynelish for me has always been this beacon of consistency of flavor, consistency of quality. And even the last time I looked at this whiskey, I remember there was a review underneath, or a comment underneath rather, talking about how this is a great calibration whiskey. And I definitely would have agreed with that before. But I'm not convinced that's the case anymore. And I'll tell you up front, this is going to get a different score than the last bottle I looked at. I definitely think it's a different whiskey. And of course, anytime you make that kind of statement, you do have to think maybe it's you, maybe it's your mood, maybe it's your palate, maybe your palate's a little bit off that day. Maybe you're a Gemini and Mercury and Saturn are not aligning. Meanwhile, the moon is in retrograde and that is messing the vibrations of your chakras right up. And it's funny, even Ralphie, who I'm sure you all know, recently shot this whiskey down. I think he scored it something like 84. I don't remember what his score was before that, but it was certainly higher. I suspect he had one of the lesser bottles that are floating around out there these days. It does seem like Clynelish 14 has lost a little bit of that consistency. I can definitely vouch for the fact that my old bottle, my last bottle, was different from this one. I'm going to go in the opposite direction. I think this one is the better of the two. Even Roy, or Aquavitae, was talking about this one on a recent VPub, and he was saying that while he wanted to recommend it and that it's a very good whiskey, he couldn't simply because there was too much batch variation happening with Clynelish 14 these days. And I'm going to have to second that opinion. I think that's true. Still, when it comes to this bottle in particular, I'm enjoying it. I do see what you guys see in here. Listen, there's great flavor, weight, balance, complexity. It's beautiful stuff. This stuff has its own character, and what it lacks in pop or wow factor, I think it makes up for with some nice subtle complexity in there. It's very well composed. It's interesting without being too flashy. Now, I still do prefer the Oban 14. I think that's the better whiskey despite having a lower ABV, but it's kind of an unnecessary comparison. Both this and Oban stand very tall among Diageo products. So as I said, I'm going to bump up my score on this one. This is going to be an 87. I think this is a top-tier Diageo offering, even though it is apparently much less consistent these days. And that's the thing. I do also want to recommend it, but you don't know what you're in for. Again, my last bottle, while not bad, just lacked a lot of the interesting facets and subtleties that I'm getting in this one. So be aware that there is some batch variation, but if you can accept that, I still would recommend this whiskey. At its finest, it's fantastic. So as I just mentioned, I do prefer the Oban 14. Both are known to be very characterful Diageo offerings, and I put them in the same category because I pay about the same price for them. However, I've checked some of the major international online retailers, and Oban has shot up in price pretty dramatically recently. Meanwhile, Clynelish seems to be relatively stable, knock on wood. So as far as value is concerned, I do think this is the better offering, and I think overall, generally speaking, it's pretty good value. Good character, good ABV, good age statement, good price. definitely worth checking out. Alright, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to help support the channel, please consider becoming a patron. Otherwise, you can like, comment, and subscribe. That is always appreciated. And I do want to hear from you. Have you tried our Clynelish 14? What were your thoughts? Have you noticed any batch variation with the recent bottlings? Let me know. Finally, down in the comments, you can let me know what you want to see me review next, and I'll keep it in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye, guys.